All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah,
Today we're tackling a business legend.
absolutely.
Jack Welch ran GE for what felt like forever, right?
Yeah.
Like
Decades.
just this titan of industry.
Yeah.
And we are going to be talking about his book, Winning,
Mm.
which he wrote, I think, gosh, over 15 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
2005.
Yes, that was
So
good.
a little while ago, but
A little while ago, but still, I think, incredibly relevant
absolutely.
in today's business world. And really just for anyone
Hmm.
who's trying to, I guess, win
Yeah.
in life or in business or however you define that.
Well, that's what the book is all about, right? It's called Winning. And so
Yeah.
he's laying out his philosophy, his approach, his tactics.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not just a business book.
Right.
It's like a life philosophy book as well.
It is, yeah.
So I'm really excited to dive into this and get your take on it because I know you've read this one a couple of times. I have, yeah. I really think Winning, it's a fantastic book. It's very straightforward. It's very easy to read. And so I think anyone can get a lot out of it.
So where should we start with this? I mean, the book covers so much ground.
Yeah, he really does go everywhere. But I think maybe the best place to begin is with his core philosophy.
Okay.
Right. Because he has a really interesting three-legged stool approach to success.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. So it's all about candor, differentiation, and people development.
Okay, so break that down for me.
Sure. So candor is all about honesty,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's not just about being honest. It's about creating a culture of honesty within an organization.
Okay, so like radical transparency.
Exactly. Yeah. Radical transparency where everyone feels comfortable speaking their mind, sharing their ideas, and even criticizing the status quo.
So not just like a suggestion box, but actually like people feeling empowered to speak up.
Exactly. And he argues that that's what allows a company to move quickly and adapt to change because you're not wasting time with all this bureaucracy and politics.
I can see how that would be super valuable.
Yeah.
And I've definitely worked in places where like people are afraid to speak their minds.
Oh, absolutely.
And it creates this like atmosphere of fear and it stifles creativity.
Yeah.
But I imagine it takes a lot of guts to actually build that kind of culture, right?
Yeah.
Because it can be really uncomfortable sometimes to be that honest.
Yeah, it definitely does. And he talks about that in the book. He faced a lot of resistance when he was trying to implement this at GE,
I bet, yeah.
but he believed it was essential to creating a winning environment.
Okay, so that's candor.
Yeah.
What about differentiation? What's that all about?
So differentiation is all about recognizing that not all employees are created equal.
Okay. I can see how that might rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah, it definitely can. And he got a lot of pushback for this too, but his idea was that you need to identify your top performers, your A players,
Right.
and give them the resources and the opportunities to excel.
Okay, so like really focus on cultivating the top talent.
Yeah. Exactly. And he was famous for implementing this ranking system at GE where managers were forced to rank their employees.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've heard about that.
And it was very controversial.
Yeah, I bet it caused some drama in the office.
Oh, absolutely. But his argument was that it was about being honest and transparent with people about their performance.
Okay, so it's like you're not doing anyone any favors by pretending that everyone is performing at the same level.
Exactly. And it's not about being mean, it's about being clear.
Right.
And giving people the feedback they need to improve.
So is this kind of like applying the 80-20 rule to talent management?
Yeah.
You know, focusing on the 20% who are driving 80% of the results?
It is, yeah. And I think it's something that a lot of businesses struggle with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right, because it's really easy to fall into the trap of trying to treat everyone equally. But he argues that that actually does a disservice to your top performers.
Yeah, I can see that.
And ultimately hurts the company as a whole.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
Yeah.
So we've got candor, we've got differentiation. What's the third leg of the stool?
So the third leg is people development. And this is all about investing in your employees and giving them the opportunities to grow and develop their skills. Now, he firmly believed that everyone, regardless of their ranking, deserved the chance to improve.
Okay.
So he championed mentoring programs, he invested heavily in training, and he fostered this culture where people felt challenged to stretch their abilities.
The differentiation isn't about like writing people off.
Exactly.
It's about helping them to be the best they can be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He didn't want people to feel like they were stuck in a box.
Right.
He wanted them to feel like they had the opportunity to move up and achieve their full potential.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people are looking for in a job these days. They
absolutely.
want to know that they're not just a cog in the machine.
Yeah.
They want to know that they have a path for growth.
Right. It's about feeling valued
Exactly.
and feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
So this all sounds great in theory,
Mm-hmm.
but how does this apply to someone who's maybe not running a Fortune 500 company? Like someone listening to this right now who's, maybe working their way up the ladder.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think the beauty of these principles is that they can be applied at any level.
Okay.
Right. So take Candor, for example.
Hmm.
Even if you're not the CEO, you can still be honest and direct with your colleagues.
Right.
You can speak up when you see something that's not working, and you can push for more transparency in your team or department.
And that builds trust too.
It does, yeah, and it creates a more collaborative and productive environment.
Okay. What about differentiation? How does that apply to someone who's not in a management position?
Well, I think it's about taking ownership of your own development.
Okay.
Right. So identifying your strengths and weaknesses and figuring out what you need to do to improve, and then seeking out opportunities to develop those skills, whether that's through training or mentorship or just by taking on challenging projects.
So basically being proactive about your own career growth.
Exactly. And I think that's something that Welch really emphasized.
Yeah.
He believed that everyone had the responsibility to manage their own careers.
That makes sense.
Oh,
So in a way, it's like you're differentiating yourself
yeah.
by taking those extra steps to improve.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay. So, and then what about people development? How can someone who's not a manager contribute to that?
Well, I think it's about being a good colleague.
Okay.
Right. So being willing to help others, being willing to share your knowledge and experience, and being willing to mentor those who are coming up behind you.
So basically fostering that culture of growth and development within your team.
Exactly. And I think that creates a much more positive and supportive work environment for everyone.
This is all great stuff. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
But it's interesting to think about this book through the lens of, the past 15 years, right? Because when Welch wrote this, social media wasn't really a thing.
Right.
The pace of change was much slower.
Yeah, it was a different world.
Do you think his ideas still hold up in today's world?
I do. I think they're even more relevant now in many ways.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, think about the pace of change we were just talking about. Businesses have to be able to adapt and innovate faster than ever before.
Right.
And I think Welch's emphasis on candor and differentiation are really key to that.
Yeah, because you need to be able to make decisions quickly, and you need to have the right people in the right roles.
Exactly. And I think his focus on people development is also more important than ever.
Okay, why is that?
Well, because the skills that are in demand today are constantly changing.
Right.
So businesses need to be constantly investing in their employees and helping them to develop new skills.
Otherwise, they risk becoming obsolete.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think in many ways, Welch's ideas are even more relevant today than they were when he wrote the book.
Wow, that's a great point.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening out there, I think this is a really important takeaway. Don't just dismiss these ideas because they were written, a while ago. They might actually be even more important now than they were back then.
Absolutely.
So here's something to think about as you're listening to this. How would you apply Welch's principles in your work life? Do they still make sense? Do they need some tweaking? Or are they completely outdated?
That's a great question for everyone to consider.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear how these ideas resonate with people today.
Me too.
All right, well, this has been a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I always learn so much from you.
Well, I appreciate that.
And to everyone listening out there, keep winning.
Yeah, good luck out there.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.